Aga Khan has died.
Aga Khan passed away.
Are mourning the loss of their spiritual leader tonight.
The Imam of the Ismaili Muslims and head of a major aid foundation.
One of the Aga Khan's legacies is this museum here in Toronto. In announcing his death, the Aga Khan Foundation said a successor will be announced soon.
Prince Karim Aga Khan has passed away, leaving behind an extraordinary legacy of philanthropy, leadership, and service to humanity.
His Highness the Aga Khan, the fourth spiritual leader of the Shia Ismaili Muslims, has passed away at the age of 88 in Lisbon, Portugal. Surrounded by family, his death was confirmed by the Aga Khan Development Network.
His life was a testament to dedication, vision, and the unwavering commitment to improving the lives of people across the world. From his early years to his role as the 49th Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslim.
The 49th hereditary Imam of the Shiite Ismaili Muslims became the leader at the age of 20, when his grandfather named him as his successor, passing over Karim's father.
He worked tirelessly to promote education, healthcare, and economic development in some of the world's most vulnerable regions.
The Aga Khan has built a billion-dollar empire, but his most lasting legacy are his many charities. They run hundreds of hospitals, educational and cultural projects across the globe.
His impact will be remembered for generations to come. Born into a family of immense spiritual and historical significance, Prince Karim Aga Khan was destined for a life of responsibility. He was born in Geneva, Switzerland in 1936 and educated at Harvard University, where he studied Islamic history.
Born in Geneva in 1936 to a British socialite and a playboy Pakistani diplomat, he was raised in Switzerland before studying Islamic history at Harvard.
At the young age of 20, he inherited the position of Imam from his grandfather, Aga Khan III, after his passing in 1957. This responsibility placed upon him the leadership of millions of Ismaili Muslims worldwide.
At a young age of just 20, Khan became the spiritual leader of the world's millions of Ismaili Muslims. This even as he was still studying at Harvard and led the global Ismaili Muslim community for over 6 whole decades.
A duty that he carried with wisdom and compassion for over 6 decades. Throughout his life, Aga Khan believed in the power of education to transform societies. He was instrumental in establishing numerous schools, universities, and scholarship programs across the world, particularly in developing countries. In Kenya, he was greeted by school children at institutions he helped create, reinforcing his belief that knowledge was the key to breaking the cycle of poverty.
He used his huge reserve of wealth to build homes, hospitals, and schools for those in need in other countries.
His work in education extended beyond the Ismaili community, benefiting people of all backgrounds, faiths, and nationalities. In 1983, he founded the Aga Khan University, AKU, in Pakistan, one of the most prestigious institutions in the region, which has since expanded its operations to East Africa and the United Kingdom.
Our goals were ambitious, after all, back in 1983. And yet, if we could have glimpsed into the future then, if we could have forecast what this day would look like, I think we would have been very happy with the way the story has unfolded.
AKU not only provides top-tier education, but also conducts critical research in medicine, social sciences, and public policy to tackle global challenges. Healthcare was another area in which the Aga Khan made an immeasurable difference. Recognizing the dire need for quality medical services in impoverished regions, he founded hospitals, medical centers, and health programs in countries like Afghanistan and Pakistan. His hospitals provided much-needed medical care to communities that previously had little to no access to such services. His vision was clear. Healthcare was not a privilege, but a fundamental right that every individual should have, regardless of their socioeconomic status. One of the most notable contributions in this area was the establishment of the Aga Khan Health Services, AKHS, which operates a vast network of hospitals and clinics across Asia and Africa.
New chapter in the university's history is being written. It is a proud day, an emotional day for all of us. It is His Highness's and President Museveni's shared vision and the support it has inspired that brings us together today. It's a vision that unites people and makes great things possible.
AKHS has been at the forefront of responding to health crises, including the COVID-19 pandemic, where it provided emergency response teams, vaccination drives, and healthcare worker training in underserved areas. His economic initiatives also played a critical role in transforming lives. The Aga Khan Development Network, AKDN, which he founded, was one of the largest private development organizations in the world.
With the Aga Khan Development Network, which extends over 100 years, the Aga Khan Development Network has been contributing to poverty alleviation, education, healthcare, economic development, and cultural restoration.
From supporting farmers in Africa to revitalizing historical sites in Central Asia, his work spanned multiple continents. One notable initiative was a factory he helped establish in Kotoa, Africa, allowing local farmers to package and market their crops more efficiently, ensuring better incomes and sustainable livelihoods.
This factory in Côte d'Ivoire made it easier for many farmers in Africa to package and market their crops.
Additionally, he was an advocate for sustainable tourism and established the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, AKTC, which focused on preserving historical sites while also providing economic opportunities for local communities. One of its most famous projects was the restoration of the Al-Azhar Park in Cairo.
The city of Cairo has a very, very low density of green space per population. I think it's one of the worst in the world, actually. It is a case study situation of a historic city with all the problems of growing population, concentration of historic assets, and so on and so forth. And so this was a very, very unique case study situation.
Which transformed a neglected landfill into a breathtaking green space visited by millions each year. In moments of crisis, Aga Khan was always at the forefront of relief efforts. When Pakistan was devastated by an earthquake in 2005, he immediately stepped in to provide assistance, ensuring that affected communities received aid and support to rebuild their homes and infrastructure.
And I hope that all together we can bring in new technologies of construction so that inshallah your homes, your civil society buildings will be safer in the decades ahead.
He also advocated for the introduction of new technologies in construction to make buildings more resilient to future disasters. His approach to humanitarian work was not just about providing immediate aid, but also about creating long-term solutions that empowered communities to stand on their own feet. The Aga Khan Agency for Habitat, AKAH, was another organization he founded to mitigate the risks of natural disasters. This agency has worked extensively to develop safer housing, early warning systems, and disaster preparedness training in earthquake-prone regions. Apart from his humanitarian and philanthropic work, Aga Khan was a patron of the arts and architecture. He launched the Aga Khan Award for Architecture in 1977, recognizing innovative and sustainable designs that benefited Muslim communities. This award has since become one of the most prestigious accolades in the field, highlighting projects that harmonize modernity with cultural heritage. His deep appreciation for aesthetics and functionality extended to his personal passion for breeding racehorses, a tradition passed down from his grandfather. He owned some of the most successful racehorses in Europe and won several major competitions, including the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe and the Epsom Derby. His global influence was further cemented by his close relationships with world leaders. In 1972, when Ugandan dictator Idi Amin expelled thousands of Ismailis from the country, Aga Khan personally intervened, requesting Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau to accept the refugees. Canada welcomed thousands of Ismailis, who went on to contribute significantly to the country's economy and culture. This marked the beginning of a long-standing relationship between Aga Khan and Canada, culminating in the establishment of the Global Center for Pluralism in Ottawa, which promotes peace, diversity, and inclusive governance. Despite his immense wealth and powerful connections, Aga Khan remained committed to his core mission of improving the lives of people across the world. He maintained a deep sense of humility and avoided politics, focusing instead on development and humanitarian work. He was often critical of Western perceptions of Islam, striving to promote a more nuanced understanding of the faith and its contributions to civilization. His dedication to fostering intercultural dialogue and mutual respect was unwavering. Prince Karim Aga Khan's passing marks the end of an era. His legacy, however, will continue to shape the lives of millions through the institutions he built and the principles he upheld. From education to healthcare, disaster relief to cultural preservation, his vision for a better world was far-reaching and transformative. His life serves as a testament to the power of leadership driven by compassion, intellect, and an unyielding commitment to humanity. He leaves behind a world that is undoubtedly better because of his efforts, and his influence will be felt for generations to come. Despite being a deeply spiritual leader, Aga Khan was also a man of the modern world. A British citizen by nationality, he was born in Switzerland, educated in the United States, and competed in the Olympics for Iran in France. His global outlook and extensive travels allowed him to bridge gaps between cultures, fostering dialogue and cooperation. He inherited the family's passion for breeding racehorses and maintained properties in various countries, but he always ensured that his personal wealth was kept separate from the funds meant for community development. His primary mission was to uplift others, a principle he never deviated from. One of his lesser-known but significant contributions was his passion for creating public parks and urban centers. Despite his immense wealth and powerful connections, Aga Khan remained committed to his core mission of improving the lives of people across the world. He maintained a deep sense of humility and avoided politics, focusing instead on development and humanitarian work. He was often critical of Western perceptions of Islam, striving to promote a more nuanced understanding of the faith and its contributions to civilization. His dedication to fostering intercultural dialogue and mutual respect was unwavering. Prince Karim Aga Khan's passing marks the end of an era. His legacy, however, will continue to shape the lives of millions through the institutions he built and the principles he upheld. From education to healthcare, disaster relief to cultural preservation, his vision for a better world was far-reaching and transformative. His life serves as a testament to the power of leadership driven by compassion, intellect, and an unyielding commitment to humanity. He leaves behind a world that is undoubtedly better because of his efforts, and his influence will be felt for generations to come. Despite being a deeply spiritual leader, Aga Khan was also a man of the modern world. A British citizen by nationality, he was born in Switzerland, educated in the United States, and competed in the Olympics for Iran in France. His global outlook and extensive travels allowed him to bridge gaps between cultures, fostering dialogue and cooperation. He inherited the family's passion for breeding racehorses and maintained properties in various countries, but he always ensured that his personal wealth was kept separate from the funds meant for community development. His primary mission was to uplift others, a principle he never deviated from. One individuals, particularly in densely populated cities. In India and other parts of the world, he spearheaded projects that revitalized neglected areas, turning them into thriving public spaces where people could gather, relax, and enjoy nature. These projects underscored his broader vision of building not just communities, but also spaces that enhance the quality of life for all. His architectural vision extended beyond green spaces. Aga Khan played a crucial role in preserving cultural heritage through the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, AKTC. He emphasized the importance of maintaining historical sites, believing that a society that cherishes its past is better equipped for its future. Through restoration projects in the Middle East, South Asia, and Africa, his initiatives ensured that architectural marvels were not lost to time. His dedication to conservation blended modernity with tradition, ensuring that ancient landmarks were not only preserved, but also adapted for contemporary use. Over the decades, Aga Khan became one of the most well-connected individuals on the planet. His high-level relationships with world leaders helped clear the way for billions of dollars in development projects. His ability to raise funds, negotiate deals, and implement large-scale initiatives made him a force to be reckoned with in the world of philanthropy. But despite his power and influence, he remained deeply humble, always emphasizing that his work was about serving humanity rather than seeking personal recognition. His global influence extended beyond the Ismaili community, touching the lives of millions across different faiths and backgrounds. His connection to Canada was particularly strong, dating back to 1972, when Uganda's dictator Idi Idi Amin expelled thousands of Ismailis from the country. Aga Khan reached out to then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, requesting Canada's help in resettling the displaced Ismailis. Canada welcomed thousands of them with open arms, an act of kindness that the Aga Khan never forgot. This friendship between the Aga Khan and the Trudeau family remained significant for decades, though it later led to political controversy when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau faced scrutiny over a vacation on the Aga Khan's private island. Aga Khan's philanthropic efforts were not limited to large-scale projects. His work in microfinance demonstrated his belief in empowering individuals from the ground up. Through the Aga Khan Agency for Microfinance, ACAM, he helped small entrepreneurs, especially women, access financial resources to start and sustain businesses. These loans transform lives, allowing people in underserved communities to build self-sufficient futures. Another defining aspect of Aga Khan's vision was his commitment to education. While he established large universities and schools, he also focused on grassroots educational initiatives. Mobile learning centers, vocational training programs, and teacher development workshops were all part of his broader strategy to uplift societies through knowledge. He recognized that education was not just about literacy, but about equipping individuals with the tools they needed to thrive in an ever-changing world. His contributions to healthcare were just as profound. Beyond hospitals and clinics, Aga Khan worked towards improving the overall health infrastructure in the regions he served. He championed vaccine programs, maternal health initiatives, and training programs for healthcare workers. His vision of healthcare extended beyond treatment. He advocated for preventive measures, ensuring communities had access to clean water, sanitation, and health education. One of the most overlooked yet deeply impactful aspects of Aga Khan's work was his dedication to cultural preservation and architectural restoration, particularly in the Muslim world. He understood that history, heritage, and identity were intricately linked, and he saw the erosion of historical sites as more than just the loss of bricks and stones. It was the fading of cultural memory and the weakening of communities. Through the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, AKTC, one of the many institutions under the umbrella of the Aga Khan Development Network, AKDN, he championed the restoration of monuments, the revival of traditional crafts, and the development of urban spaces that blended historical authenticity with modern needs. His efforts were not merely about aesthetics, they were deeply tied to economic sustainability, community engagement, and identity preservation. One of the most ambitious projects he undertook was the restoration of the historic Al-Azhar Park in Cairo, Egypt. What was once a vast, neglected landfill, an eyesore in the heart of one of the world's most historically rich cities, was transformed into one of the largest and most breathtaking urban parks in the Middle East. The project, which took over 2 decades to complete, was not simply about creating a green space. It was about revitalizing an entire community. The area surrounding the park, known as Al Darb Al Ahmar, was one of Cairo's most impoverished districts, plagued by unemployment, deteriorating infrastructure, and social instability. Rather than just building a park and leaving the community to fend for itself, the Aga Khan's vision was much broader. The restoration of the park created thousands of jobs for local artisans, builders, and craftsmen. The project revived ancient techniques of Islamic architecture, from intricate woodwork to traditional stone masonry, providing training programs to younger generations to ensure that these skills were not lost to modernization. Schools were built, vocational training centers were opened, and a microfinance program was introduced to help local entrepreneurs set up businesses that could thrive in the newly revitalized district. The initiative became a model for how urban renewal projects could merge history with economic development, proving that heritage service was not just about the past, it was a tool for a better future. Another remarkable yet lesser-known initiative led by the Aga Khan was the restoration of the Baltit and Shigar forts in Pakistan's remote Gilgit-Baltistan region. These centuries-old forts, perched atop rugged mountain landscapes, had long been abandoned and were on the brink of collapse. However, instead of viewing them as mere relics of history, Aga Khan saw an opportunity. By restoring these structures, he sought to bring sustainable tourism to the region while preserving its rich heritage. Baltit Fort, which had served as the seat of power for the Mirs of Hunza for over 700 years, was carefully restored using traditional materials and methods. The project was undertaken with meticulous attention to detail, ensuring that the architecture remained true to its origins while being structurally sound for modern use. Once completed, the fort became a major tourist attraction, drawing visitors from around the world and providing a steady stream of income for the local community. Guided tours, cultural performances, and handicraft markets emerged around the fort, creating employment opportunities for many families who had previously struggled to make ends meet. Similarly, the Shigar Fort, a 17th century palace of the Amacha royal family, was transformed into a unique heritage hotel. Rather than allowing the building to decay, Aga Khan's team carefully restored it and repurposed it into a luxury hotel that blended history with modern comfort. This initiative was groundbreaking because it demonstrated that heritage conservation could be commercially viable, sustaining itself without relying on government funding or external aid. Local residents were employed as hotel staff, and farmers in the area benefited from an increase in demand for fresh, organic produce. The project showed that development did not have to come at the expense of history. Rather, it could be built upon it. Aga Khan's vision for cultural preservation was not confined to the Muslim world. He was also involved in restoring Christian, Hindu, and Buddhist heritage sites, emphasizing the importance of intercultural respect and shared history. In Zanzibar, he played a crucial role in revitalizing the historic Stone Town, a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its blend of African, Arab, and European influences. Through careful restoration, dilapidated buildings were transformed into vibrant cultural hubs, museums, and community centers, breathing new life into the city. His philosophy was clear. Culture was not something static that belonged in museums. It was a living, breathing entity that needed to be actively maintained and integrated into people's daily lives. By focusing on cultural preservation as a tool for development, Aga Khan created a legacy that went far beyond physical restoration. He revived lost traditions, empowered artisans, strengthened tourism economies, and most importantly, gave communities a renewed sense of pride in their heritage. His approach also had long-term implications for diplomacy and international relations. By engaging in cultural restoration, he bridged gaps between communities, showing that the preservation of history could be a unifying force rather than a divisive one. His projects often brought together experts from different religious and ethnic backgrounds, creating opportunities for collaboration that transcended geopolitical tensions. Aga Khan's contributions to cultural preservation remain one of the most unique aspects of his legacy. While many philanthropists focus on immediate needs such as food security, healthcare, and education, which he also championed, his work in heritage conservation ensured that entire civilizations did not lose their historical identity in the pursuit of modernization. His efforts remind us that progress does not mean erasing the past. Rather, it means honoring it and building upon it for future generations. His worldview was deeply shaped by his faith, but he also believed in embracing modernity and progress. He often expressed disappointment in how the West viewed both him and Islam, lamenting the misconceptions and biases that clouded understanding. Yet, he never allowed these challenges to deter him. He worked tirelessly to promote education, dialogue, and tolerance, believing that these were the essential ingredients for a more peaceful and prosperous world. His vision extended into disaster relief and crisis response. Whether it was earthquakes in Pakistan, floods in Bangladesh, or conflicts in war-torn regions, Aga Khan ensured that aid reached those in need swiftly and efficiently. His approach to humanitarian work was not just about providing immediate relief, but also about creating long-term solutions that empowered communities to rebuild sustainably. As a man who lived through decades of global change, Aga Khan was a staunch advocate for climate action. He recognized that environmental sustainability was intrinsically linked to economic and social development. His projects incorporated eco-friendly designs, promoted renewable energy, and encouraged responsible resource management. The Aga Khan Development Network, AKDN, actively worked towards climate resilience, ensuring that communities were prepared for the environmental challenges of the future. His passing marks the end of an era, but his legacy will endure. The schools he built, the hospitals he founded, the economic opportunities he created, and the lives he touched will continue to bear witness to his remarkable contributions. His philosophy of development, rooted in sustainability, inclusivity, and long-term impact, will remain a guiding principle for those who follow in his footsteps. His life's work is a testament to the power of vision, perseverance, and compassion. Prince Karim Aga Khan dedicated his life to the service of others. His legacy is not just in the structures he built or the policies he championed, but in the millions of lives he improved. He leaves behind a world that is undeniably better because of his efforts. Though he is no longer with us, his vision, his work, and his values will continue to inspire future generations to strive for a world of compassion, progress, and unity. And that brings us to the end of this deep dive into the life and legacy of Prince Karim Aga Khan. His contributions spanned decades, continents, and countless lives, and his impact will be felt for generations to come. But what do you think was his most significant contribution? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth stories about global leaders who changed the world. Also, turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.